Testing, 1, 2, testing. Testing, 1, 2. Testing. Can you hear me in the back? Testing. Is that a thumbs up? Good. Thank you. All right. Thanks everyone for being here. Welcome to Horticulture Corner, Lazy Gardening. That's my cup of tea. I hope it is yours. My name is Denise Reagan. I'm the Executive Director of the Garden Club of Jacksonville. And with me tonight from our staff is Corinne Lightfoot, who is our Marketing and Membership Manager that checked you in tonight. And also with us tonight, we have two of our event staff. We have Shelby Hackett, and she's somewhere around Karen Garcia. So I believe they're both attending the bar tonight. So say hello to them. I would not be doing my job if I did not tell you about membership of the Garden Club of Jacksonville. If you're a member of the Garden Club, could you raise your hand? Fantastic. And now go ahead and pat your back while you have it up there. Great job. You all deserve a big round of applause. There you go. If you're not a member of the Garden Club, tell you what, chat to one of those people, talk to me, talk to Corinne, talk to anyone who is involved with the Garden Club and why they are, and it might be a good idea for you to become a member. You can pick up a membership form. You can go to our website, gardenclubjacks.org, to learn more about membership. I'd also like to thank all the members of the Board of Trustees who are here tonight, and there are many. I believe there's Ann Sauer. Thank you. And Sanja Skinner-Jones. And did I miss anyone else? I thought I might have saw someone else, but so many great faces here tonight. Our board does such a great job. They've had a very busy summer, which is not normally our busy time, but we've had a lot going on. So thank you to our board. I also wanted to talk to you about sponsorship. The Garden Club of Jacksonville offers sponsorships which help cover the cost of research, planning, and execution of programs just like this one. Think about a business or an organization or an individual that you interact with on a regular basis. It might even be you. Would they benefit from reaching new audiences at the Garden Club of Jacksonville? Please tell them about the great work that Garden Club Jacks does and why you're involved. You can direct them to our sponsor page on gardenclubjacks.org, and they can see all the ways that we recognize them before, during, and after our events. We would love to talk to them. All right, I want to tell you about a couple of upcoming events that we have, including next month's Horticulture Corner, which is Get Show Ready. The Garden Club is the organizer of the Jacksonville Fair Horticulture Show, and that's coming up right around the corner, November 7th through 17th. And so this program is to help you get advice on if you want to enter your plants in the competition, but also just lots of great advice for taking care of your plants. You'll see examples of plants that have won awards in the past. And if you've got a plant that you want to show off, this is your chance. Bring plenty of questions so you'll be ready to enter on November 4th. And speaking of which, you can go to our website and you can sort of pre-register to enter. So we'll send you a reminder when it's time to enter. So on our website, you can go to the pre-registration page and we'll send you a reminder a couple of days ahead of time so you won't miss it when it's time to enter. We have a really great program coming up. Last year, we had our very first Community Garden Summit, and so we're doing it again this year. It was so popular. Literally, like as we were doing it, they said, "You're doing this again next year, right?" We said, "Sure." So we're going to present the second annual Community Garden Summit for those planning to create community gardens and anyone who wants to learn more about them or take part in one. And we'll also provide lots of tips for home gardeners. So that's October 22nd. So mark your calendars and you can register for that now. We have, if you want to get your hands dirty, we have volunteer days that we do throughout the year. The next one is September 21st, a day of planting, trimming, pruning, weeding, and cleanup around our campus. It also happens to be National Cleanup Day. So that's kind of a fun little connection. We have our Budding Gardeners program that day. They're going to be cleaning up the whole neighborhood around us. But we'd love to have you then. That's September 21st. And then finally, we have our open house. I know that October seems like it's way far away, but it's not. October 3rd is our annual open house where we celebrate the upcoming year, all the programs that are coming up. You're going to get to know your community, people just like you, stroll our campus while you listen to live music, small bites, have a beverage, and learn about all the reasons why you should get involved in the garden club. All right, we hope to see you there October 3rd. Now it's my time to introduce our great speaker. Shanell Davis-Bryant is the founder and principal of Sage Growth Solutions, a consulting firm focused on supporting environmental and community building organizations, and an FNGLA certified horticulturalist and landscape maintenance technician. That's a mouthful. As an environmental education specialist, Shanell enjoys working with people of all ages to explore and connect with the natural environment around them. If you have questions for Shanell, we're going to ask you to keep them to the end and raise your hand, and Shanell will repeat them so that we can capture them on our recording. And at the end, we would also love you to take our survey. We really want your feedback. We're going to put this QR code right back up on the screen at the end. We want to hear from you. We want to know how we did tonight. We want to know what ideas you have for the future. We listen to you, and I tell you, all the programs that we're doing this year are based on suggestions that we got. So know that your feedback actually gets heard and put into what we do. So please take our survey at the end. We want to know how we're doing. All right, without further ado, please welcome Shanell Davis-Bryant.
Thank you, Denise. Can you guys hear me all right? Awesome. The mic is working. All right, I need a little sip. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Shanell Davis-Bryant. Thank you guys so much for braving the rain and coming out here this evening. I'm really excited to share with you guys my ethos on lazy, chaotic gardening. So Denise already laid out my credentials, but I'm going to go just a little bit deeper into them. So I have over 10 years experience in the nonprofit sector. I have 6 years in environmental education, and as Denise said, I hold certifications, FNGLA certifications in horticultural as well as landscape maintenance. So I tell you all of this not to like just toot my own horn, though toot, but also to let you know that even with my knowledge and my experience, my yard does not look like this. I wish my yard looked like this. I even have a plan. I have multiple plans. I have actually a design. I paid for a design from Wakat Palaka that has sites. It has the layout of everything, hardscape. It has the plants selection. But I'm a perfectionist. So my yard looks like this. So for the past 7 years, my yard has gone through multiple beautification starts, but it still ends up looking like this. Uh, I know you guys are now wondering, like, why did the garden club invite me out here? Uh, she must be lying about something. But have faith, stick with me. All right, so let's get in sync here. Raise your hand if you consider yourself or someone you know would say that you're a perfectionist. Okay. Now leave your hand up if that perfectionism has kept you from starting, finishing, or even just enjoying being out in your garden. Yeah. So we're all perfectionists, and it's not really a good thing. It's it's not, but we're going to talk about that. So when I say that I'm a perfectionist, I'm saying that I have excessively high personal standards, especially when it comes to my garden. In other parts of my life as well, but we're just not going to talk about that one. We're going to stick with gardening right now. Um, and this has kept me from just doing the thing, from putting the plant in the ground, because I don't want to do it wrong. But it's not wrong. Gardening is putting the plant in the ground. But does that resonate with anyone? Like just being stuck? Yeah, you've got all this knowledge and you know how to do it, but you're just stuck. So that's why when I'm talking about lazy gardening, I'm talking about a mindset. Because when I first started prepping for this presentation, I Googled lazy gardening and I saw images like this. And I don't know about any of you guys seeing images like this and the videos claiming that I have the hack to garden effortlessly. It's kind of suspect, right? Bit suspect. So we're all gardeners here. We have different levels, varying knowledge and skill sets on gardening, but not one of these gardens didn't come with constant and consistent effort to make it look this beautiful. When I'm looking at this, I'm seeing the site prep that went into this. I'm seeing the constant deadheading of flowers so that you can keep your flowers going in bloom so they reseed each other. What is your mulching schedule? And what does your weeding look like? Like, that's what I see. So when I'm defining myself as a lazy gardener, I'm not saying that I don't want to put the work in. I'm saying that I have to have a new mindset. I have to have a more relaxed attitude about gardening. I have to just approach my journey with curiosity, with getting out there and enjoying the process and finding joy in the process. Because if there's not work to do, why am I out here? Why am I gardening? Then I'm just walking through a botanical gardens or someone else's yard, which where's the fun in that? So next, I Googled chaos gardens. And I actually got really upset looking at these because I don't know where their definition of chaos is, because none of these are chaotic. These are all highly cultivated and curated gardens. Look at the placement of these plants, the clumping. Like, there's no way you just took a bag of wildflower seeds or a bag of beans, shook it up, and just went, and then you had this. This isn't going to happen without extensive site prep. This isn't going to happen. Even if you did all of this the first year, this is not your results. This is like 4 years into cultivating your wildflower garden bed. Like, the idea that chaos gardening doesn't require any effort is just, it's faulty. It's a lie. And it makes people really sad when they think that that's what they're going to get and they don't. So again, I'm focusing here on chaos as a mindset, as a way of thinking. And the chaos is external to your garden. So it's the disorder, it's the disorganization of life that makes it so that you're not out there gardening every day. You bought that flat of flowers and you were like, I'm getting it into the ground this week, but it's 2 weeks later and you're still watering them by hand in the side of your yard. But that's okay. You're going to work through the disorder, you're going to work through the disorganization and the chaos at your own pace without judgment because life happens. It just does. And if life ain't lifing, then what you going to do? All right. So now that we have this shared understanding of what I mean when I say that I'm a lazy, chaotic gardener, and it's not that I don't want to put in the effort and that I think that I can just make things happen. It's that I'm actually striving to continuously learn every time I go out into the garden. I'm striving not for perfection, but for the journey, for the curiosity, for getting out as often as I can and not being upset with myself when I can't. And just really finding the joy and the pleasure in the process. So this has all been my long-winded way of saying that I approach gardening with a growth mindset. So you guys might be wondering, so what's a growth mindset? Do I like plant a seed and it grows? You do. That's what gardening is. But a growth mindset is a little different. So we're gonna kick the dirt off of our garden boots and we're gonna step into the classroom for just a little bit. So as American psychologist, Carol Dweck, she's a Stanford professor, and she has a bunch of initials and things after her name, really smart woman. She developed these theories on intelligence that she calls mindsets. So you have your fixed mindset, which says that intelligence, skills, abilities, these are all innate. They're static. It's unchangeable. You're born with them. That's it. So if you didn't get the pick, you're out of luck. Where growth mindset says that intelligence and your abilities and your talents, you can learn, you can improve through effort. You have to put the time in. Sometimes it takes more effort for you than others, but you can improve your skill set through effort. So this got me thinking about when people say, oh, I have a black thumb. Everything I touch dies. Or I have a green thumb. I grow everything and it just flourishes. But when you think back to your process on cultivating that green thumb, like it didn't happen overnight. So the more I learned about these mindsets, the psychology of mindsets, I start to see this dichotomy in the way that I approached my personal garden at home, aka what I call them mulch and poop piles, because that's where my dogs use them, um, and my work in environmental education. Because when I'm in my garden, I'm seeing this through a lens of a fixed mindset. But when I'm doing environmental education workshops, when I'm doing hiking with kids and teaching kids or adults about the environment around them, that's all based on a growth mindset. It's all based that they can learn and appreciate the nature around them through effort, through exposure. So it's kind of like, huh, how are these two things true about myself? And what does that mean? So I want to spend the rest of our time together sharing with you my 5.5+1 principles that describe my ethos around lazy gardening. So the first principle, again, thank you, Dr. DeWick, intelligent skills, talents are learnable and improvable through effort. So basically, green thumbs are cultivated. It took me 3 years to go from all of my succulents either turning into dried husk or melting into slime to having vibrant succulents beds in my front yard. 3 years. And I thought I had a black thumb. My secret, leave them alone. Just just leave them alone and they'll do their thing. Um, but no one's born with a green thumb. You have to learn. You got to go through trial and error. So that's principle one. Principle two, embrace the challenges. You got to embrace them because challenges are opportunities. Um, so I wanted a tree ring garden. And this, of course, was before I learned that it's really not a great idea to throw a bunch of topsoil on a tree flare. But again, opportunities to learn new things. So while my tree ring garden flourished, my poor water oak declined. So finally, we had to bite the bullet and have Oakley removed. And yes, I did cry when she came down. So now my yard and my tree ring, well, my no tree ring garden went from being in part sun all day to full blown Florida sun all day, like all day. Like walking outside my house, I'm like, what is this? All day. So my plants were not happy. And I was like, I don't know what to do. They're doing so well now. Do I just keep watering them? And then we put in an irrigation system, but that's a different story. Um, And I was kind of like, what am I going to do with this? Because I don't know now what to put here because the things that I did have are dying. And what do I do? Then I realized I have an opportunity now to have a mini orchard slash fruit guild in my front yard. So off to the races I went. I have a peach tree. I took my two foxtail ferns out, put those suckers in the backyard. Now I've got some blueberry bushes up there, got blackberries, and hopefully next season I can grow some strawberries. I've not had luck. The birds have had great meals, but I have not had luck. So, embrace the challenges, see them as opportunities. Principle three, persist in the face of setbacks. So basically, plants are going to unalive themselves. It's okay. It's what they do. You can't stop this process. So I planted my first sweet potato crop about 2 years ago in my front tree bed. And I got some wonderful sweet potatoes. But then the sweet potato flea beetle found out that I had really wonderful sweet potatoes. And so you can kind of see how that's going for me now. Um, but that's okay because I've learned something new. I learned that there's a thing called the sweet potato flea beetle, and they look very different throughout their life cycle. So I thought it was multiple beetles, but it's just one beetle. But that's okay. Learned about a new book, and the lizards have come out in full force to help me drop that population down. And I'm going to try it again. I'm going to put some raised beds out once my husband does the design layout so that it looks nice. And I'm going to add new soil, and I probably will have another sweet potato crop next year. So yeah, plants are going to unalive themselves. It's okay. Try again or a new plant. Principle 4, see effort as your path to mastery. So there's no perfection, no mastery, excuse me, in perfection. There's no even any fun in striving for perfection because you just get stuck, right? So the mastery is in learning and going through the process and doing the thing and trying new things. So what I'm showing you here is a section of my yard. We've got the weedville, we've got our mulch drop, we've got our tilling, which, yes, I know, tilling isn't always a good thing because it destroys your soil biome and biology, but there are so many roots and vines that grow through that. I just had to break them up, and I'm very glad. Solarized it, and now I have my foxtail ferns in the backyard, and I have a kaffir lime tree growing back there. But what you're seeing, this is not overnight. This is a 2-year process. I went back and looked at the dates on these pictures. This has been 2 years to get to what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants in the ground in the backyard. 2 years. But I'm doing it now. I'm doing it. I'm going in and I'm putting the plants in the ground. That's principle 4. Principle 5, learn from criticism. So 99.5% of the criticism about my garden comes from mean Shanell. 0.4% comes from my 5-year-old niece who doesn't understand why it's always a mess back there. And then 0.1% comes from my husband who he just really, really wants me to put the hose away, just like use it and reel it back up. But in my mind, I'm going to get back to it. So, you know, it's fine where it is. So I could use this opportunity when I'm sitting on my porch and I'm staring across the street. That is my view across the street. That is my neighbor's beautiful house. I could use that as, well, I'm never going to top that. Let's just call this quits. Just strike out the gardener part in my title, just be lazy and chaotic. We can just move on that. But instead, I use her garden, well, their garden, as inspiration. So I thank Dr. Marlene Trump for this, pulling out this bit of wisdom from Principle 5. So she created Principle 5.5 to find inspiration in others' success. So through that, I've been building my gardening community. So she's now a part of my gardening community. I go and I talk to Mark and Diane and I see what plants she's tossing out because it didn't work, and I'll see if it works in my yard. I've been gifted plants, seeds, knowledge, produce, just because she is now a part of my gardening community. She is my fellow gardening gnome. And that's what you want. You want to cultivate your own garden gnomes. They're the people that are going to help you when you get stuck. They're the people that are going to be so proud of you when you get your plants in the ground. They're going to help you move a chip drop that you didn't understand the volume of, hopefully before your husband gets home from his work trip. Um, that's when you're calling out your gnomes. They're going to be there for you. And there's so much about gardening that you can't learn in a book. You have to learn through doing it. You have to learn by talking to your fellow gardeners and learning about how to plant in this biome versus in South Florida or in Michigan. And it's all about the journey. And if you're stuck in being perfect, of having this perfect garden and this perfect vision, then you're never actually going to have your garden. And then where are you going to go to have your tea and hear the butterflies and watch the birds and the hummingbirds and hear the bird drama as they fight over your bird feeder? Like, you have to just do the thing. So watching the Wren's garden grow has been just an absolute pleasure for me because I've learned so much. And I learn now too what can actually grow in my garden because they're right across the street. And it's been just a wonderful experience. And so you really have to find your gnomes and you got to hold on to them because they're going to help you continue on your gardening journey. So last but not least, I've added my +1 principle. You got to cultivate your garden style. Just embrace it, come up with it, enjoy it, have fun with it. You know, buy the cool shirt, buy the silly shirt, buy the silly hat, buy the harness that you don't actually know how to you wear when you're gardening, but it looks so freaking cool when you put your spade in it and it's just fun. Like, buy the thing. It's fun. If it's going to get you excited to go out into your yard and garden, then do it. Gardening is supposed to be your peace. Gardening is supposed to be your happy place. So do all the things to make it your happy place. It's all about getting out there, being excited about getting soil under your nails. No, okay, scratch the soil under your nail part because that's really annoying. It gets really deep in your beds and like it's not fun. But you guys get my point. You guys want to get out, you want to get dirty, and you got to look cute while you're doing it. So those are my 5.5 principles uh, that undermine my ethos of being a lazy, chaotic gardener. Thank you. I'd love, yes, ma'am. Hmm. Okay, so the question is, you're ready to throw in the towel because of 2 growing seasons, you've got nothing from your garden. So there's a lot of things that could be going on there. Are you using the same, doing the same crops, using the same crops? So like, are you this season and last season, did you grow the same cucumbers and zucchinis? Hmm. 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 Do you have pollinators? Are there bugs in your garden? Ah, wait, so you have the big Easter like loppers, and those, yeah, they look like locusts. Yeah, and they're not eating your cucumbers and your zucchini plant. That's really odd. Mm. Yeah. So if you're getting flowers and they're not producing, then you're not getting pollinators. I would suggest trying a new garden spot. Like move it to another location. Is it like blocked off? Like is it getting wind and things like that? Uh-huh. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. I would try a new spot and new seeds and add some flowers. I would definitely add some flowers, like shift where you're planting them, add more flowers, um, and try different seeds. Yeah. That's really, I mean, if you're getting a green flush but not having any fruit, yeah, I would try those things. Yeah. It depends. Huh? Oh, the best kind of flowers to plant in a vegetable garden really depends. So, peppers and tomatoes and things like that, marigolds are a good companion plant because they attract the aphids versus the aphids going to your tomatoes. Um, Cloves are really good, letting those go to flower. Um, I like to have like a separate area where I have my flowers that are like kind of mixed throughout. Nasturtiums are good flowers. They're edible as well. Trying to think, what other flower? I've got calendulias. Did I say it right? Calindias. The bees really have liked my calindias. Um, Yeah, honestly, the best type of flower are the flowers that are going to attract the pollinators. You can go through and do a deep dive and look at what's a good companion plant and things like that. But really, your whole idea is to attract the pollinators. So even your tomatoes, they flower, so they'll attract them, but it's to lure them in. Blanket flower, love me some blanket flower. Uh, I've got mums in my front, no tree ring. Uh, yeah. So it's really like it's all the flowers. I don't know of one flower that I can think off the top of my head that you don't want. And it also depends on your crop. So I say try them all. Get a wildflower mix.
A lot of the herbs have flowering,
Yeah.
parts of them, and so they can be a good companion plant as
Yeah.
well.
Well, if you want your herbs to like, if you really want the leaves, you don't want them to go to flower,
Yep.
but you could always like have like multiple plants. Like this is your ones that are going to flower, and then these are the ones that you're keeping. And sometimes even the flowers are just really nice to like snip and put into your lemonade or your iced tea, things like that. Yes, sir. So have I formalized meeting up with other gardeners in my neighborhood? Yes. I have my garden gnomes over there, sir. Yeah, wine and weeds. So every Wednesday, Janora, Alicia, and other drop-in friends, we get together and we garden in our yards and other people's yards. They just have to feed and wine us, and we'll weed and drop mulch and things like that. So yeah, so that's my formalized gardening group. Yes, ma'am. Oh goodness, is there a natural way to discourage? Deer, yeah. So natural way to discourage deer, rosemary. That's what I heard from the audience because I live in Murray Hill, so I don't have I don't have deer. Oh, there you go. Yeah. So rosemary is a really good deterrent. So yeah. Yes, sir. Oh wow. So so we've got three deer deterrents. We've got rosemary, hair, and male urine. So there you go. Yes, ma'am. Oh, oh, okay. Deer deterrents. Recap. We have human hair, dog hair, rosemary, male urine. Did I miss anything? Oh, and the flashing lights that you can get on Amazon that are deer deterrents. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Oh, congrats. Um, so you and me both. And I've lived in my house for 7 years. So what I have seen that's been working for me now that I'm just kind of like get the plant in the ground, take chunks of your yard and kind of break them down and decide how do you want to use that space. So the front yard, we have our garden beds, that are just around the house, and those have our flowers in them. And then my no tree ring is now turning into a mini orchard. So I still have lawn in my front yard, um, but I've broken it down into smaller chunks. In the backyard, uh, we've kind of segmented into how we're using the space. And it's changed in the past 7 years. And so now we're currently moving our deck from the way back of our yard to the front of our yard where we actually like to hang out. And the back now gets a bunch of sunlight, which is why we're like, we don't want to hang out back there in Florida in the summertime. But it's a great spot for a garden. So it's kind of looking at your yard and deciding how you want to use these spaces, and then start small so you don't feel overwhelmed. So if it's just like, I want some curb appeal, well, I'm going to do some curb appeal first. So I'm going to go and I'm going to get some um, Mexican heather, some irises, and just add some color and texture to the front of my house. And once you get the hang of that, then you're like, huh, well, I kind of want some edibles. So let me see, where do I want to put my edibles? Well, I want them closer to my kitchen, but is that how I use the space close to my kitchen? So you just take your time and enjoy the process, because you don't have to do it all at once. And just like kind of keep in mind how you use that space. That's going to really inform where you put your plants and what type of plants you put there. Mm. Yes, ma'am. Congrats. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
UFIFIS
Duval
is a great,
County.
great resource.
Yeah.
If you can tell them about that, yeah, just look it up. UFIFIS Duval County Extension. They always have people on the line who can give you advice, but they also will send out people. And I want to give them a big shout out for they will do a very Florida friendly, native friendly audit of your yard, and really try to encourage you right plant, right place, so that everything that you plant will still be living, hopefully, after you plant it.
They are an amazing resource. I've used them for programming for educational program that I'm doing. It's they're great, but someone will pick up the line Monday through Friday, and it's usually a master gardener who knows what they're doing, or they will tell you, let me get back to you because I know this other gardener who's really into mushrooms and I like trees. So we're not, you don't have the expert you need. So yeah. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Say that again. Mhm. So watering your garden with reclaimed water, it's not an issue. If you're doing rain barrels, that's reclaimed water. You can water with that. The only thing that I've noted, what is it? Nope, that is if you're composting your dog poop. You don't want that on your vegetables or anything you're going to eat, but you can put it on your ornamentals. Yeah. Any other questions?
All right. Can we have another big hand for Shanell?
Mm. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you, Shanell. Her info is on here. So Shanell at sagegrowthsolutions.com. Please contact her. I'm sure she would love to hear from you. And I'm putting oh, sorry. Yes. Oh, sure. It is 904-513-8615. All right. Please, please, please get out your phones, scan this QR code, take the survey. It takes like 3 minutes. I promise it's really easy. And thank you for coming. Have a great night. Thank you for braving the weather, for being the few, the proud, the strong, the gardeners. All right.